I have a dream, oh, I have a dream. Red, white, and blue, fly free, fly free. I believe, oh, I believe. Will you dream with me?
Good morning, everyone out there. Welcome to Changing Times. It's Wednesday, May the 4th. Going to be rainy again today, tomorrow. I think by Saturday, by Mother's Day. By Mother's Day, we're going to have beautiful weather in Southwest Missouri, the Springfield, Missouri area. So I hope it's going to be great wherever all the moms are. Don's a mom, so and I know your wife. Your wife's a mom, and for all the moms out there, they are such special people. Obviously, you got to it takes a dad and a mom to make a family, but the mother seems to be the glue of the family a lot of times. And so we really honor our moms on Mother's Day. So I'm just encouraging every man out there to be sure and do something nice for their mom. Even if you live miles away, give them a telephone call, send them an email, send them a card, do something, take them out to dinner, lunch or whatever, and spend some time with your mom. They won't be there forever. So this is show number 57, Don.
Wow.
It's amazing. I was gone. You did a great job last week with David Harrison. He's
Thank you.
Hall of Fame writer.
Yes, I think I was thinking about our interview, and it's something I will always cherish because he is just such an amazing person and writer, and he's so accomplished. 109 books is incredible. A lifetime of creating and bringing stuff out to the world.
Well, he said some very interesting things. I watched the show from Florida, and I was on special assignment doing some things. And so, one of the things that David Harrison talked about was his books. They take several years, and he's writing several books at the same time. And so he doesn't really exactly know when a book will be published from the time he originally starts the idea. But it's really been interesting, all the different insects and different subjects he's chosen for children's books. But he didn't start out with children's books.
Yes.
And so it's just kind of interesting how he's evolved.
Yeah,
but,
I love the story that he was in science and someone made him take a class in writing, and then he writes about science and how God redirected his path there.
Right. And I thought about the courses he took, because zoology and botany and all the courses he took was courses I took. I was always interested in all that. And so great job. And as a writer yourself, I don't know, you may have 100 books in you.
Well, you never know. I was pretty inspired by him. So, and it took me 5 years to get my book out there. So that was good to hear. Yeah,
but I think it's going to be, you'll be doing books faster now. I think you know more about how to actually start a book, finish a book. A lot of people start books, but they don't finish books.
And you'll be there at Barnes & Noble May 21st at 11 o'clock when I do my first book signing.
That's correct. I will be there and trying to get people to go over there to your area and buy a book and get a book signed. And so May 21st at Noble and Barnes & Noble. I tell you what, it'll be a great day. I will be there.
At Barnes & Noble in Springfield, Missouri.
Well, I want to give a shout out, Don, to two friends of mine in Ozark, Missouri. I bet they're watching this morning. Julie Chapin from Ozark, and also Gary Schreiner. They are two great people in Ozark, Missouri. And when I think about Julie Chapin, she's involved in the Central Committee, the Republican Christian County Central Committee Republican Party. And I want to give a date out and talk a little bit about it before we start our show. On May the 14th, so that's not this Saturday, that's the following Saturday, May 14th, in Christian County in Ozark, Missouri, we are having our Lincoln Days. And it starts at 2 p.m., a little different. Normally we have a dinner, a really nice sit-down dinner. And this time it's going to be a little different. It's going to start at 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Ozark High School Auditorium. And that's at 1350 West Bluff Drive, Ozark, Missouri. First hour is just going to be kind of a meet and greet. So all of us people running, like I'm running for presiding commissioner, other people are running. You got state offices, you got offices in U.S. Senator and U.S. Congress office positions open. So you're going to have a lot of Republicans there, and the public is invited. And the first hour will be, like I say, meet and greet. There'll be a lot of hors d'oeuvres there, that refreshments and things that people can partake in. And then at 3 p.m., it's going to be a really, I think, interesting debate and discussion with the U.S. Senate candidates.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. It's getting down to crunch time now. We're basically 3 months away from the election, and it's going to be really important to listen to these people. And that will be from 3 to 5. And I'm sure people will hang around. The office holders, people running for office many times will hang around even after that. But you can buy tickets online. That's the preferred way. And just go to Christian County Republican Central Committee, CCRCC, and mo.com. And that will just take you right to where you buy the tickets. The tickets are $30 each, so they're affordable. And that's what it costs you to get into the entire event and have the refreshments and things like that. And if you have any issues or that, you could call 417-581-7485 or 417-860-0216. And then for the candidates or anyone else that wanted to sponsor the program, $100 sponsorship could be sent to CCRCC, Post Office Box 141, Nixa, Missouri 65714. And we'll talk about it again next week, and we're going to have probably someone live from the Central Committee calling in, and you'll be able to see them on the split screen, and they'll tell you a little bit more about it again. But it's coming up a week and a half from now, and it's a big event in Christian County. And these elections really are important. These primary elections are very important. Okay, so I think we've done our duty, and we're going to start out with Darren Myers. So Darren, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for inviting me on the podcast here.
Well, I tell you what, we are proud to have you. This is the second time around. Yes. I don't know when we had you on the first time, if we told you or not, but Don and I have got this little party that's in our mind right now, working with John Whittaker, who's Youngblood Motor Group, who's one of our very, very good sponsors. And he has volunteered to donate his showroom in Springfield, Missouri on South Campbell. And so Don and I are going to organize through the Acts Group maybe a Friday afternoon as you get off work, reception gathering. We'll have a lot of good food. We'll have some music, live music. We're just going to network. So everybody who's been on our show this first year and through the rest of this first part of this year, we're going to have everybody there, the ones that can come. Not everybody will be there, I'm sure, but it's going to be really important because networking is really good. Mm-hmm. And you're going to meet a lot of great people who have been on our show. And so we hope you and Tammy can come. Good. And talking about Tammy, she is your wife and partner in your venture. And I know after 43 years of owning my pharmacies that my wife was Janet was an extremely important part of our business. And so we want to make sure we give our wives credit.
Absolutely.
Give our wives credit for that. Yeah. But anyway, I want to go ahead and get kind of started. So a lot of people, Freedom Encounter and what you're doing down in Branson, Missouri, I would suspect Don and I knew we were talking about this before the show started. I think Branson's going to have record number of people. They're going to break records this year in attendance on shows, hotels, everything. You just got through saying, Don, that Big Cedar was sold out.
Yeah, for the month of June and July, I believe they're sold out. There might be just a few rooms left, but that just shows that it is going to be booming in Branson.
Yeah, so here's the deal. I think a lot of people will come to Branson because they have so many things to do and so many fun things to do, and it's all family oriented. It's not like some places in the United States where you have to be selective on what you take your family to. Mm-hmm. And so I think this is really important. And because of inflation and everything like that, I think people are going to stay closer to home. And you may not be the first place that they seek out, but the reason why we wanted you on the show is because you are very important. What your concept is and what you're trying to do is extremely important, I believe, for the history of our country and then for the future of our country.
Exactly.
And so what is exactly Freedom Encounter? How did you and Tammy come up with that idea?
Well, that's a long story, but just to give an overview of the heartbeat of it is we really want to just build an education center. So, the concept of a museum, a theater, a kids play area based on a colonial village theme, and then a bookstore, all of that working together to educate all the different ages, but really this generation focusing on educating them in the principles of freedom. So our tagline says tyranny, faith, and freedom. And that's really describes history for all the way back to Nimrod and even really before him. But up to today, it's the same struggle that mankind has always had because of our sin nature. We have to have government, which is the referees, but then the referees get out of control and there's got to be a way to keep them in check. So that's that struggle of tyranny and people of faith who put the Creator first. And then this concept of freedom is a storyline that goes all the way back and all the way up to today. So we're trying to educate. And, it was like Benjamin Franklin said, it's in the region of ignorance that tyranny begins. If you're not an educated people and you don't know the principles and you don't know the past, then you're susceptible. Thomas Jefferson said that any nation that expects to be ignorant and free expects what never was and never will be. So, we've got a lot of problems in our country right now. We don't know where it's all going. But one thing we know for sure is we can educate ourselves and that the truth is what makes us free. So what we're trying to do is take content out of the history books. And so whether it's David Barton or William Federer or a lot of other authors, take that history that they've written into books that a lot of people may or may not read, sit down and read with their family or children especially, and make it come alive, make it fun. And so we're doing that through the Freedom Journey show, which is in the theater now. And then as we go forward and add these exhibits and build out the museum and the kids play area, that's the big vision. And so anyway, I was a youth pastor and a senior pastor for 13 years, but I've been in the ministry for, 28 years. And in the last 7 years, we've been out on the road with a ministry called Freedom Focus. And we just felt like the Lord was kind of through the years gradually led us to really zero in on these principles and help put it on the bottom shelf, so everyone can understand and comprehend and not talk over everybody's heads, but just it's basic. We all desire to live in freedom, but how does that work? What does that even mean? What worked in history and what didn't work in history? So, and what does the Bible say about it? Because that's the source of freedom, really. So putting it on the bottom shelf, we've kind of been teaching and preaching these principles at camps and churches and Christian schools and even a few public schools and wherever the doors have opened over the last 7 years. And so this project in Branson is really an extension of that. It's an opportunity to take those truths and put them in one place and let folks come and just spend a couple hours or a day walking through and learning, going to the shows, and hopefully be inspired and encouraged, which we do hear that a lot, that folks are like, I have hope now. I've been so encouraged. And then maybe even go to the bookstore and get the quote books and the history books and the inspiring faith books, the miracles in American history, that kind of material, and then take it home and study it and read it and go over it with their children. And let's just see if it makes a difference.
You got books like David Barton's books,
right?
Federer's books,
exactly.
That people like that just really know U.S. history,
right,
from the very beginning to current.
Yep.
And
exactly.
then I'm sure in knowing you that the things that you're going to present when you take things out of history is going to be exactly word for word what was taken out of history, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I worry about today, I know our good friend Dee Wampler, that passed away this last year. He had been on our show and was going to be on our show the following week before he died. I mean, he was supposed to be on our show the week after he died before that. And what I remember Dee telling me, because he went to Parkview High School like I did, and he loved history. And so I remember him having his own history books. I thought we had to turn all those in, so I'm not exactly sure how he got all these history books. But he had all these history books for, I know, 30-some years at Parkview. So he must have made a deal with them and bought books. Yeah. But you know, it was interesting because you'd take the same subject, it'd be a war or whatever. You take the same subject and he would underline changes and show how history had been altered over time.
Yeah.
And it was doing that back because he was older than I am. But I mean, I'm just thinking about, it's always been that way. Somehow some people have always wanted to change history. You don't change history. Right. What you do is you learn from history and try to repeat the good things, and you don't want to repeat the bad things. Exactly. And that's why you need to have history recorded correctly, because it can be a learning tool and a foundation for you. And so when you start to alter it, it's not really true.
Exactly.
And so I'm really glad you're doing that. And I want the listeners to know, because last year when Don and I had you on our show, you had, I think you were completing 8 or 9 shows. That's what you did last year.
That's right. Last November and December, we did 9 shows, which was, so for the last 5 years, we've just done a couple of shows during Veterans Week. Mm-hmm. And then last year was a step up to do 9. And then now that we've secured the building and we're ready to go, at least with the theater, the bookstore, and the coffee shop area, we've scheduled 83 of them for this year.
83 shows. That's a big jump from 9.
It is a big jump.
Well, the last show, he was really stepping out in faith too.
Yeah.
There was a lot of, trust and know that you were on the right course, and God showed up and really delivered for you guys.
Right. Last year, we were trying to raise the funds to secure the building. Right. So it's 10 acres, it's formerly the Tony Orlando Theater and then the Faith Life Church. And then we were trying to raise the funding without borrowing. And that's, we just want the Lord to do this and show us that he's doing it and he's in it. And it came down to the last day of the year when the final phone call came in and said, we'll make this happen, and got us over the
praise the Lord.
And in fact, it was 9:30 that night of the last day. So, the Lord works in mysterious ways, and I don't understand why his timing is like that, but it's unforgettable. Now, right. We're all amazed at how.
So you bought the Tony Orlando's Yellow Ribbon Theater. A lot of people have been to Branson over the years and seen Tony Orlando perform at his own theater and other great acts and shows at the theater. But you bought that entire property and a church.
Right.
And that's just going to be a great blessing for many, many people, knowing the type of people you and Tammy are. And the Lord's just going to continue, I believe, to bless this whole project to where I think thousands and thousands of children every year can benefit from this, and parents too, because when I look at your brochures and I think about what you're trying to do, obviously it's important for young people, and so we'll talk about parents who have kids, and how about grandparents that have grandkids. Those 2 groups of people really need to be taken down there to Branson and go through this Freedom Encounter. This is really going to, and then will you have some active some active roles and things like that? Aren't you having some active shows?
For the children?
Yeah.
Well, so right now we just have the one show called Freedom Journey, and it's a 2-hour show with an intermission, and we do involve, children at the beginning and at the end of it. But as we go forward, we'll add a kid's show and celebrating freedom, and then these exhibits that we're trying to raise funds for so that we can build up in the lobby area would be like a colonial church, and then a really modern theater that has content on a loop, and then another either a one-room schoolhouse or something like that, where it'd be more hands-on for the kids.
Yeah.
So all of that is in the process. We're designing and talking and trying to raise funds.
So people have to come. They have to come and buy a ticket and see what you've got now, where you can expand it, where they can see more things the next time they come.
Exactly right.
I mean,
if they come to the show, we'll play a video or they can go to the website and watch a video on just kind of the overall vision of it. But if they, it's really reasonably priced for families and everyone. But if they'll come to the property, they'll get a good sense of what our vision is and what we're trying to do as we go forward. And, if all we did was the show, it would be a real help. So there's the show and then bookstore right now. So
now, are you open right now?
Yes. I mean, we're
Just
doing the
starting
shows. So we've got a calendar. We've done 4 shows already.
Okay.
We'll, from Memorial Day through December, we'll do something basically every week.
Okay. All righty. Well, I tell you what, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take a break a little early today, and then Don's got some questions, and then we're going to go back and forth. But I want to go ahead and talk about our 2 sponsors. We're breaking a little about early, maybe 3 or 4 minutes early, but I want to kind of go ahead and do this right now. We have 2 primary sponsors, Darren, right now. We're looking for 3 more sponsors, and we think we have 1 or 2 more. I think Louis Michael is going to sponsor, and now
That'd be great.
And now that I'm back in town, he's going to sponsor through his real estate company that he works with, and because a lot of the money that he makes through selling real estate, he's very successful at it. He gives back to his nonprofit foundation, Choosing to Live. So we're going to be promoting both of those at the same time through one sponsorship. And so I'll be talking to Louis Michael here before next Wednesday and see if we can complete that deal. And then we also have someone else that we may go ahead and do a program for 1 or 2 weeks in a row to advertise a sponsor where they can hear what it sounds like. And they're a family-owned, long-time, multiple locations in the Springfield and around Southwest Missouri, all the way down to Kimberling City and other areas. And so we will, in Nixa and different places. So we'll probably do that. I'm working with that family too to work out the deals, because they have several families that own different stores through that whole network. So anyway, we're going to do that. But our sponsorships, Darren, is we try to get people to buy a small, what we call a small donation each week, giving back, because Don and I, we're all volunteers. Matt, our engineer, does such a great job. Everybody's a volunteer here with us. And so we're trying to now raise some money to put a phone system in where we can have live phone calls, so they could ask you a question. Somebody somewhere in this country is coming to Branson. Lots of people are coming to Branson this year. They might want to ask you a question from Texas or Oklahoma or even Hawaii. So they could do it. And around the world, we have people around the world that's watching our show that could be coming to Branson, Missouri this year. We have a lot of foreigners that come in, and things like that to the Southwest Missouri area. So we are doing that. But our first sponsor that we took on this year was Brad Pistow last year. And he is a certified fiduciary financial planner. And basically what that actually means is that he always has to have your best interest first. Not about his profits or any money he's going to make, whether he's going to make any money or not, but he always has to make sure that your interests are always at the top of the list of making sure you're taken care of first. And not everybody is a certified fiduciary financial planner. I found that out. And so he's located actually in Ozark, Missouri, but you don't have to worry. If you don't live in Missouri and you're watching now from several other states, he is licensed in several other states, so he can still help you. And he has a plan where when you invest with him for retirement planning, you'll never lose a penny of your money. So the money that you put in, you're not going to lose it. Right now, if you're in the stock market, you've lost some money. Are you going to get any back? Well, yeah, you might gain it back. It may take 6 or 8 years, but maybe what if you're retiring this year, 22? It may take 5 or 6 years. And if we go into recession, how long would it take for it to dig back up? you might be out of retirement and dead by that time. So, I mean, obviously, this retirement planning is very important. You can't wait. You actually need to think about retirement planning long before you start really getting into the retirement ages. He's got a couple books: Safe Money Matters, Bulletproof. If you call 581 area code 417-581-9222, 417-581-9222, they'll send you a free book. They'll send you information about how to get started with financial planning, retirement planning. Brad Pistow can do that for you. The other sponsor that we have is John Whittaker, and with Youngblood Motor Group. Don, I've had him on our show before, and they are located at 3525 South Campbell in Springfield, Missouri. They have a new lot on one side of South Campbell, and they have a used car lot on the opposite side of the road on South Campbell. Their telephone number is 417-882-3838, 882-3838. And they feature Nissan and Kias. And John's been on our show. He's very, very informative. They are the longest family-owned car dealership in Southwest Missouri. I think they've been in business 43 plus years. And so John Youngblood, John Whittaker, they can tell you all about how to buy the best used car, when to buy, when to lease, all that type of stuff. So John Whittaker is another great sponsor of ours, John Youngblood. And so that's our sponsors.
Yep, we're so thankful for our sponsors.
Yeah, so I think, Don, you can go on, and we'll talk. We'll learn some more from Darren.
Okay, well, I'm just looking at this phenomenal brochure, and I'm big into the logo, and I feel like this was a very inspired logo. I like how your E's make the flag, and it just when you see something that's really good material, you know that you're going to get into a good show, because just the brochure itself is very attractive and really just wants you to take a look and go more in depth. For those that want to hear it again, it's freedomjourneyshow.com. So you can go on and check out. All the dates are listed on the back. I'm going to take a picture and post this on our site, our AMG site, but I'm sure it's on the website, so you can go and look. And as a veteran, I absolutely love that veterans and first responders are free. You know, not just discounted, but free. It shows really the value that Freedom Journey Show puts on veterans and first responders. And, you know, they really help hold the glue of America together. So, you know, just tell us more about what people are going to encounter at the 83 different shows. I know they're spread out throughout the whole year. Just kind of tell us a little bit more.
Well, so we're trying to take the 30,000 foot view or so, you know, of freedom. So we start off with the individual, and then we move to the definition of tyranny and kind of a walk through time up to the Pilgrims, and then the founding of America. We have, and then we go forward all the way up to today. But to tell that story, we have reenactors, Benjamin Franklin and Patrick Henry, come out and do part of their speeches, famous speeches. There's children involved. We've got live music. So we've got three guys that form a trio. They're all in their 20s and just extremely talented. So they are a lot of fun. They can play all the instruments and sing amazingly. So they take us on a journey through America's favorite songs, starting with Yankee Doodle up. It's just kind of hopping through the years up to Moon River. And so that's a fun segment. But, you know, there's video testimonies of 3 immigrants who live here in the Ozarks, or at least in this region. And one's from Ukraine, one's from Russia, and one is from Armenia. And they tell their story, how they fled tyranny, how they came to America, what that means to them. They talk about, they give the gospel, you know, their testimony. It's just really emotional. And so we weave those videos through the entire show. And we have a segment where we just kind of highlight the Declaration, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, you know, and how that all fits into the big picture. So it's hard to explain. It's not like any other Branson show. There is a lot of live music from the beginning all the way to the end, but we're trying to take that history and make it fun, it's very emotional. That's probably the word I hear more than anything else to describe it. It's just emotional. And then when we honor the military and law enforcement, it's all part of that same storyline: tyranny, faith, and freedom. And it's a 2-hour show, have an intermission and all. I think it's good for all the ages. I had one lady, she said, I'm 94 years old and I've never heard that. She just never heard it put together like that. And I think a lot of times when people, history is kind of this, we hear little dates and we've got fragments in our minds and it's hard to fill it all in. But we try to do a timeline. So it helps people plug in what they've heard to that particular timeline of history. And it just helps people kind of tie it together. And we need to be refreshed on all of this, because it's easy to lose our history. And then we've got those who are undermining it on purpose and attacking it and rewriting it. So it's definitely helpful, inspiring, emotional, and hopefully, when folks leave, they'll be encouraged. And that's typically what we find, when folks, I don't know how many times I hear, I'm going back to my church, we're going to get a group and we're coming.
Yes.
And we're telling other people, and we hear that a lot. So you can tell there's a need, a hunger.
Yes. Well, on that note, how do people get involved? Tell our audience what they can do to, volunteer, donate, because this is a growing cause. There's more to come. So tell the audience what they can do if they want to get involved, besides coming to the show, because that's a guarantee that they need to do.
Yeah, sure. Well, we can boil it down to really three things, four if I include prayer, prayer, obviously. But 3 practical things is, sign up for the email so you can stay informed as we go along. Number 2 is volunteer. And some folks can volunteer every week, if they live around the area, or it could be just once a month, or it just could be a random work day. But, get involved, because we will need an army of volunteers. And then thirdly is donate. So if they go to freedomencounter.com, there's a segment on the homepage there that says join the cause, and they can go to that and just give us the basic information, and then we'll follow up from there, get them plugged in either as volunteers or there's opportunity on there to donate, if they'd like to do like a 3-year commitment at so much a month, or just a one-time gift. All of that is available through the website. And then signing up for emails, and we don't send out an email every day or 2 or 3 times a day for sure. It's just, every week or 2 or 3, just kind of let everybody know what's going on so they can stay in touch.
Tell us about the Pilgrim Progress that's coming up.
Okay. Well, obviously this theater, it's a 2,000 seat theater. So it's stunning, and everyone that walks in says, wow, I can't believe this still looks this good. And it's one of the most beautiful theaters in Branson. And we hear that a lot. So this group from Michigan is coming in to do Pilgrim's Progress, the musical. And they've they've been traveling around the country doing this and kind of got it down to a science. They're really good at it, and it is emotional, powerful. Of course, Pilgrim's Progress was written by John Bunyan, who was in a prison because of his faith, and the tyrant had arrested him and put him in prison. So it kind of all goes with what we're doing. But the story of Pilgrim's Progress is just powerful because it's a guy who's not saved, struggling with his sin and guilt, and then he finally gets saved, and then his journey to the celestial city and all the distractions and the temptations. And it's a musical, so there's they have a live group orchestra of 8 or 10 folks, and then it's a lot of acting and singing, and they really tell the story well. It's emotional as well, and we went out to Colorado and watched it, and there's several points in there. It's just very convicting, very relevant, because what Bunyan was going through and what he wrote about is exactly what's going on today, and so I can highly recommend it. It's free. They will be there May 12 through May 27.
Every day?
No, I think they're doing 10 shows.
Okay.
So it's like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
What age group of people is doing that? Is that young children doing that program, or
they're
some
probably
young adults, or
teens and 20s for the most part, and older. So
I bet they go through Silver City, your favorite place too, Don.
Could be.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably be visiting a few places while they're in Branson while they're doing that.
I would recommend coming to one of the earlier shows because you're probably going to want to come back.
Okay.
It's a kind of deal, and it's free, so you might as well, right? Come check it out on May 12 or 13 on one of the early shows, and then you've got time to get a group together and bring them back before it's done. And especially if you have, someone doesn't know the Lord or is struggling. There's just so many relevant things throughout that presentation. When he goes through Vanity Fair and they despise the Word of God, and they despise truth and purity, and they mock them and all of that. It's just very relevant. So you'll enjoy it. And if youth groups or church groups want to come, I think they'll be glad they did.
Are you connected with all these different churches? So you're sending out emails to churches to invite them, or how are they? How do we get all the different great church? There's all kinds of great churches all over Southwest Missouri. How do we get them connected?
Well, we're trying. That's a challenge these days with email and all of that. To actually get connected. But we do have literature there. We've got folks that are going around and trying to meet everyone. But I would just say go to our website or of course the phone number's on there. And then we've got a link that goes to Arise Collective Theater, which that's the group that's doing the Pilgrim's Progress. And we would be glad to answer any questions, send out, rack cards or whatever we can do to help.
Now, do they need to buy tickets for the Pilgrim?
For Pilgrim, they just need to register the tickets.
Okay. Is that at your Freedom?
Yes. So if they go to Freedom
JourneyShow.com.
freedomjourneyshow.com or freedomencounter.com. We've got links at both websites that will take you to their website, and then you can register.
Now, is that a day show or a night show?
I think the Thursday, Friday, Saturdays are at 7. The Sunday afternoon is going to be at 3.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you what, we're going to try to continue to promote that.
Absolutely.
Because I obviously, for the people that aren't saved, we need to get some of those people invited down there.
It is.
Well, people need encouragement.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, they walk away with hope and they walk away inspired. And that's absolutely what we need. The opening song here, my song, That's What It Means to Really Dream. There's a line in there. And actually I put it on TikTok recently, and TikTok got to determine which line of the song would actually go for video generating. And I was very shocked that they picked, Do You Dream This Land Stays Free Under God and Not Tyranny? And that's the sound bite that they pulled out for that song. And, anything that we can do to educate people about tyranny, faith, and freedom is crucial. It's absolutely critical for where we're at right now in our country and where we're going forward. And so I salute you for everything that you're doing. And I know it's not been an easy journey, but it never is an easy journey when it's meant to happen. So.
Well, the Lord's been very faithful to encourage us the entire time. So, we know it's him. We know he's doing it, and we're just glad to be a part of it.
Well, I think, Darren, one of the things I picked up just a while ago when you were speaking to Don, and you were saying that a 94-year-old lady said that she learned things that she hadn't. Either she forgot it or she learned it. One of the two, doesn't matter.
Or hadn't connected the dots.
But that. So that's awesome. That's what I was talking about a while ago, that older folks can enjoy this show just as much as young children in high school and even college kids. They should be there. They should be able to see and hear what you're doing. But, patriotism is really important to me. We've watched the ebbs and flows of patriotism in our country. And obviously after 9/11, boy, patriotism shot up. Every home had flags. Everybody was very patriotic at that time. Unfortunately, it's kind of weaned off. I still, when I go door to door campaigning, I still see a lot of homes with flags. and it makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, that's one of the things I look at when I'm knocking on doors. I'm a little bit selective on the doors I knock, and if I see a yard that's mowed, if I see a U.S. flag out there and things like that, there's signals to me that's a receptive type person that I might want to speak to. But patriotism is so important, and when we think about Ukraine, I just continue to ask everyone to keep Ukraine, the people, in our prayers, because they're fighting for their freedom.
Yeah.
And odds weren't with them. But it's kind of like when you study the American Revolution and you study all the wars that we've been in, many times the United States was outnumbered too.
Yes, definitely.
And miracles happened. Fogs came along and different things happened.
Sure.
And I think that was God that was actually helping the United States.
Well, it turns out the whole thing is an amazing story, and everybody loves a good story, but the whole struggle, and it's spiritual. It's a spiritual story, because even Pharaoh letting Israel go, it was, your God can't deliver you from me. I'm all powerful. And kings, big government, tends to take on that attitude historically, that they're bigger than God and they can control the people and manipulate the story themselves. And then God intervenes and says, watch what I can do, and that's whether it was him or Nimrod or Nebuchadnezzar or the Caesars or whoever, all the way down through. And our founders, had tapped into that. They understood the spiritual side of this, that they needed to pray. They had days of fasting and prayer as a nation. And many times there were miraculous events, in our founding, so much that President Washington, in his inaugural address, said, of all nations, we have got to give God the credit he deserves.
Right.
Because there's no way we could be here had he not intervened.
That's right.
So it was just so obvious to everybody that this was beyond natural. This was supernatural.
Right.
And it's still a spiritual war. But, we lose our footing. We kind of get disconnected. We haven't lived under a tyrant. So, we just don't think of it the same way that other generations have, or other countries are right now. But it'll come to us sooner or later. But if we can relive it through these shows and through the history books and experience that again, maybe we won't have to relive it in real life.
Yeah. Well, Darren, I tell you what, I thank you. We're going to run out of time. Matt's going to be in here in just a minute, but I always say that you're a difference maker. Every person that we have on our show for 57 weeks now have been difference makers. And Don, what do you always say?
Being the change.
Being the change. And you know what? When you're a difference maker and you're being the change, you are powerful. You and Tammy are powerful people that's helping hundreds and thousands of people. So we appreciate you.
Yeah,
appreciate you for doing that.
What you guys are doing.
We'll keep promoting what you're doing, and
looking forward to coming to the show and bringing people with us.
Yeah, we will try to do that, and I just encourage everyone out there. Freedom Encounter, Freedom Journey Show in Branson, Missouri. That's their second year, but first full year, and God's been good. And when we had them on last year, I'm sure you had lots of fears and doubts, and we always still have fears and doubts. I mean, we're always tested, but I always feel like when you're tested, the good nature, who you really are, comes out, and I can tell that you're the right type of person to do this type of show, and so that's very good. So Don, we're going to be having some more good shows in the month of May. I know one of the groups that we're going to have is, and Jim Whining, our CEO of Acts Ministry, had talked about it, and elder law attorneys. So I've got a couple female elder law attorneys that own their own business, and they're going to be on our show in May.
That's great.
And then we have some other interesting decisions Don and I are going to make on what shows we're going to have, because we're now running into a situation where we actually have people calling us to be on shows, and that's interesting. And we have to be able to, for Acts Ministry, we want to make sure we filter out the type of shows that we actually want on our network, not just to do a show, but we're hoping that we bring you hope and happiness, and that you'll learn who Jesus Christ is. And we'll be back next Wednesday, same time, 10 a.m., live on YouTube and Facebook.
1, 2, 3. Can I get a hoorah from